Hey there, welcome back to the Hot to Cold Mechanical YouTube channel. My name is Trevor and I'm here with Amin, and he is the owner and of Hot to Cold Mechanical.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, especially around tax time when they come knocking on the door. He's the owner. And today we're going to be talking about why upgrading your furnace and AC at the same time is a great idea. We have a quote here from AOC. I'm experienced enough to do this, I'm knowledgeable enough to do this, and I'm prepared enough to do this, and I'm mature enough to do this. I am brave enough to do this. All good things. Now, I'm not a fan of AOC, but I like those words. They're very good. We can do it. We have the technology. We have the power. We can make this happen for you. So here's a quick fact for you. Based on studies, heating systems consume the highest chunk of home energy, around 60%. So that means that 60% of your home budget goes to your furnace. We're talking all of your interior appliances. So it's the most expensive appliance in your house is your furnace.
Most likely.
Yeah, I wouldn't, especially if you live in Canada, unless you use like a wood stove or something, you're using a gas furnace, it's going to be costing you about 60% of that budget.
Both utilities on the go.
That's right. So let's get into this really quick here. Tell us a little bit about having two systems done at once, and how often have you done this, and why you suggest this.
Well, I suggest it because of the simple fact that with the high efficiency systems nowadays, when it comes to the furnaces especially, if you go with a mid-efficiency furnace, you can definitely put your AC in there. But you're not always going to find that old furnace can keep up with the new AC systems and how they've upgraded them.
Okay.
And it being that you'll want to do it because if you know that furnace is pretty much near that 15 to 20 year rate in age, and it's pretty much near it, you may as well just replace it. Because of the simple fact that your new AC system is much, much better if you have the same being with the furnace to keep up with it.
So you want to match them up, do them at the same time. So let's jump into the questions then. So what is the biggest difference between a mid-efficiency furnace and a high-efficiency furnace?
The mid-efficiency furnace is actually, when it comes right down to it, it's the amount of gas they burn. It's not as under best control. And their main being was always how they would get the gas burnt so well. That's why they took a direct air in, and that's why you got the condensation now and so forth and so on, because they've got the gas burning with the air coming in right from outside, but they've also put the ECMs on the motors, your electronic control modules, that can speed those fans up and control those fans perfectly, so you're only using the electricity you need. And that's what exactly they had to perform with. Try to get your gas and your electricity to the least it can be. And that's what they meant by high efficiency.
Okay, so they use less energy overall because of the improvements in the technology.
Pretty much.
Nice. Now, how does air conditioning do better when you have that furnace upgrade to the high efficiency?
Well, you see, if you've got that furnace with an electronic control module on the fan, which is pretty much the only part of that furnace that needs that AC, you'll find that ECM control, a lot of times the modules, if you use the same brand furnace and AC system, they do sometimes, not all, but some do, like the brand I use, Keep Right, does definitely do that. They have dip switches on their system that actually tune into the knowledge of exactly which AC system you're using. And they can then take the electronic control module and be sure it's blowing properly through that one particular evaporator coil for your home on that one AC system that was made for it. So they definitely keep that tonnage working perfectly and that evaporation on the perfect flow. And that's the only furnace's job, is just to evaporate those gases and get that cold into your house.
Gotcha. So it's best doing them together because they play well together.
Yes,
basically.
They tune into each other perfectly that way.
Nice. Now, how does the furnace improve on the heating side of things?
Well, the furnace will improve on the heating side. That's for darn sure, because of the fact that when you've got most upgrades also created 2 stages. And you can even get a modulating gas valve. But the 2 stages are the most common you'll see people sell. And it's the fact that because the furnaces now, when they would run forever, you didn't have that anymore. Now you've got that first stage to go. And if at that particular time, most of them set on about a 5 to 10 minute basis, has gone too long, then it'll step it up to second stage. And get that gas going a little harder, get everything going a little faster, just to be sure that it can get everything done right and as soon as possible. That's how the heat is pretty much working on those 2 stages with the gas.
Nice. So it's much better with the high efficiency. It's not just wasting a lot of energy there.
No.
Now, the next question we've got here is, so how does the air conditioning improve when you upgrade them both together?
Well, the air conditioning improves especially because of that ACM. It's that electronic control module that pretty much takes it all. The fact that the high efficiency furnace is definitely up to the par with anything as long as its fan is working perfectly. That's his only job, is to get the airflow up for that furnace, up for that AC from that furnace's fan. So when that fan is working at perfect output, and you've got that definitely working perfectly, then your AC has no problem to be responding the same way.
Right. So if someone is getting, let's say they have a mid efficiency furnace that they got purchased with their home, and they're buying an AC, they're not necessarily going to get the best cooling out of it unless they upgrade to that high efficiency at the same time.
If they do so, yes, they're definitely going to find that AC doesn't have to run as long.
Right. So it's not that you can't install it in there, it's just going to perform better when you upgrade the furnace.
Definitely.
Gotcha.
Well, definitely.
Okay. Now, tell us a little bit about Keep Right Comfort Maker, that they only allow their cased coil evaporators fit in their own furnaces. Tell us a little bit about that and what that all means.
Well, you'll find that I've walked into homes where the people will have like a Lennox furnace. I saw one this year, and they'll throw a Goodman case coil on top. Okay. Now, when you do that, it's like the simple fact being that you can do it if you want to, but you don't know exactly how they've designed that for that plenum to fit perfectly on that system. Now, if it's going to be definitely transferring that airflow properly through that coil. But Keep Right knows everybody else does it, but they want to make sure that theirs is only on their system.
Right.
Because they can't let that big refrigeration name get bruised or scratched by any of the smaller stuff in HVAC. Okay? They don't let anyone touch their case coils. It won't fit on any other system. It only locks into their own particular furnace. Because that's where they use their A coils a lot more. And that A coil is always touchy. That's why they always offer the N coils more so for the same price of anybody else's A coil.
I see.
Because they put the A coil inside the cased coil to make darn sure it's got the exact airflow needed from that furnace, designed perfectly for it. To be sure you've got that perfect efficiency and that perfect evaporation needed, you see. So that's exactly why they keep that coil to themselves. To be sure it's not going to be lacking and or say technically failing on anyone else's system.
Right. So matching up the Keep Right with the Keep Right furnace is the best way to go.
If you're going to be doing it at the same time, that is always the ultimate way to go, because they've got everything so tuned into each other perfectly, but only to themselves so well because of their technology and their engineering. It's just, Keep Right being the world leader in refrigeration, commercial refrigeration, and to be able to run a whole grocery store. Okay, their engineering is so perfect that they've got that perfected.
Nice. So something you may not have known, a lot of people hear the brand names, Lennox and so forth. But Keep Right, they're a big major provider of refrigeration to the commercial world.
That's it, and that is a lot. That's the higher end of our trade. That's the definite higher end of our trade. A lot of people don't need to know the Keep Right name. It's not right using R-I-G-H-T. If you ever look it up, it's Keep R-I-T-E, and that's exactly how they spell their name. But that's the name that we know instantly as our favorite name to see. When we get into a grocery store to go work on something, and you see Keep Right's name, it was like seeing, oh, look, it's just like seeing that furnace name that you love the best. For me, it was, definite Carrier, but Carrier and Keep Right are side by side inside the same factory.
Gotcha.
That's the only reason I kept with Keep Right, because Carrier kind of disappointed me with their pricing. You were definitely paying for the name and even paying them to sell their products.
Right.
So it was just, I'll stick with the Keep Right, knowing how well they are with engineering, and Carrier will come along.
Okay, there you have it, folks. So Keep Right is a good name, so don't discount it just because you don't know the name. Made in the same factory as the Carrier. Let's go on to the next question here. How will the furnace perform with different sized air conditioning systems? So tell us a little bit about that.
The furnace will always perform technically according to whatever size home you have. Okay, you're always going to be sizing that furnace according to the house. So when you're buying that AC system, it's always going to be, if installed properly, that is. A lot of people don't know how to pick the tonnages properly. Okay, being that 700 square feet needing 1 ton. Okay, we always go with that average of 700 square feet gets a ton of cooling. And when you go with a 2-ton system, a 10.5 or a 3-ton system, so forth and so on, you should be able to say that yes, you have the right size furnace in that house, taking care of the same square footage the same way.
Right.
So it should be fine if you just technically place that exact system for that size of that home into that furnace. It should be fine.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about the benefits of using the same name for both heating and cooling. Now, can this be for like Lennox, Keep-Right, Carrier, like using the same name? Tell us why it's important to keep them together.
I would always keep the same names together because of the same fact that you don't know exactly how anyone is going to coincide to the other. Okay, being that you've got 2 different companies engineering your systems in different ways, you don't know which company has done what for who. Okay, and or say if it's going to be technically compatible to anyone else. A lot of companies may not have always the ability to say that I know what Lennox is doing or I know what this company is doing, and it's okay if they put it on mine. You know, but it's a simple being that a lot of companies I've seen have even been upselling. Okay, like when I saw that Goodman, for instance, you don't need a cased coil. Okay, you could have just put a basic coil inside that ductwork and left it on top of that furnace, and left it open as a regular coil that could have been a Lennox coil, you know, match almost identical. But they put the Goodman cased coil on there, okay? And it's like, that was just upselling because a cased coil is worth more, okay? When it's all put in a beautiful little box that fits on top of, with Goodman's name on it and everything. So it's a simple being that these systems, okay, are better off with just a basic coil placed inside them if it's not the same brand name.
Okay, so you can do it, you just have to be careful with what you're putting in there.
Yeah.
So that it fits properly.
You want to be sure that it's going to be passing that air through that box perfectly.
Okay.
And if you're only going to be guaranteeing it by using the same 2 names when you got the same case coil and furnace, you know they are compatible to one another.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk about Keep-Right and Comfort Maker. Now, how have they taken their circuitry into consideration?
Their circuitry actually has gone into a higher level. I have noticed that their circuitry definitely is the one that would offer multiple dip switches. Like you had multiple dip switches for the heating and the cooling. Okay, where you could control the outputs of the system.
Okay.
Okay. For instance, some do, some don't, but I know a lot don't. Is the fact that these guys upgraded their circuitry to a level being where it was actually just hitting little dip switches can change anything that motor's doing. You could actually adjust it and speed it up and or slow it down and or set it to exactly what it asks you to set it for that one particular system. Okay. I went to one system particularly and had that house, you know, say running a little low on the airflow. I didn't like it. You know, it's like, why is it at that level? But then when you looked into the books and they show you exactly what to use clearly and hit those switches, it sped right up and took right off.
Nice.
You know, so it's like they got the ability to play it so that you'll never have a problem in any home.
There you have it. So there's a lot of benefits to using these systems and having that flexibility for the technician to actually adjust, you know, the fan speed and so forth to get the most out of your furnace and your air conditioner.
There's much more leeway, yeah, for sure.
Now let's talk about SEER level and how it affects the system's performance.
Well, the SEER levels are actually, a lot of people misplace it in their minds. And there's a lot of people upselling these SEER levels in the city this year. I can't believe how much everybody's upselling to a 16 SEER system. When you can even see Keep-Right shows a map of America. They don't even show Canada. They show the map of America and they're showing you the top half of America is fine with 13 SEER. Okay? 13 to 16 was always what we offered in Canada. 16 was always the best if you needed it. Okay? But the fact that that was being technically maybe a first start in California. Okay? Right. And our first start here is our 13 SEER. You see, the 13 SEER is just your seasonal energy efficiency rating, okay, that the system has according to saving when you're running the system. Just like a high efficiency system would save you money, you want to have that SEER level saving you money as well. But you see, what's happening with the SEER level being is the fact that, yes, you may be saving on electricity, but are you actually running at 30 above for 4 months?
Nope.
If you're lucky to get 4 weeks in this country, okay, it's not worth it. Okay, you can take that 13 SEER and you'll be just fine. Unless you got a system that's going to be running at 30 above for like 4 months straight, okay? Okay, you're not going to see a heck of a difference on your bill. Okay, that's until you've seen a full output on that system. Will that 16 SEER ever show you a difference on what the two systems can do side by side?
Yeah. Yeah, if we get even 2 weeks of 30 above, we're dying here. So it's just not something that we do or something that we require.
We can give it to you if you want, but I guarantee you're not going to see much if you don't have much heat.
Yeah, so it just doesn't make any sense, and it's just part of educating people, which is why we're doing these videos, is to help educate people, give them a little bit of knowledge, and tell them a little bit of the insider scoop on the mechanical trade and what you should be looking for, or what you should be asking your furnace and AC salesperson. Now, why are there different SEER levels offered in different parts of the world?
Well, you see, the SEER levels in different parts of the world are always going to be definite because of the fact that if you go down to Phoenix, Arizona, for instance, okay, they got SEER levels that go right up to 21 and higher, into the 20s. Like, it's a fact that these are places where you're in the burning heat, for the most of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have to have something that can give you the best, or say, the most, say, efficient, way of running. Okay, otherwise you're going to be paying a lot of money.
Yeah.
The electricity is not cheap for that furnace or say that AC system outside. So if they've got a better compressors and better motors in there that can do it a lot easier and say put out a lot better for you, they're going to bring that electricity power down. Yeah. They have to. That's why they get it that way. Anywhere in Canada, okay, a 13 SEER is definitely going to be pretty much the most you have to see. You can go to the 14 SEER, and I had a lot of people throwing 14 SEER at me this year. And I found it was like something on social media that people were believing.
Now, let's talk about the energy. So how much energy is saved when a SEER level is increased?
Well, energy is saved definitely when it comes to the SEER level increasing. It's because of the simple fact that how much energy is always going to be dependent on more so how much the system is operating.
Okay.
You see, when the system is operating on a, say, near 24-hour basis, okay, like it would be in Phoenix, okay, you're definitely going to be saving hundreds of dollars.
Right.
Okay. When you're coming up here and you're using that 13 SEER system, and like I said again, you're just using it for weeks of the year, okay, you're not going to be really seeing much of a differ, say, in that situation at all, because it's the furnace technically that's taking the power. Okay. It's the AC system and the furnace working together now. In the summertime, if you've got AC and you've got the furnace that are working at the same time, you're going to find that in that high heat of 30 above is probably when you're going to see that same time of year that you see where your gas and electrical bills, when it's 30 below, is at the highest. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty much where you're going to find those 2 or 3 months where you're actually at that, or that probably a month or two, I should say, that we have the coldest part of the winter. That you got the hottest part of the summer, and you're going to see about that same, because it's not going to be gas anymore. You're now just doubling up your electricity. Yeah. It's not used to be gas anymore. It's just the electrical inside that system of the furnace and the AC system outside. So it's just more of your electrical bill that goes up because you've now deleted the gas. It doesn't really change much in what you see in the winter, really.
There you have it, folks. So let's talk about the highest SEER level offered in Alberta.
And that is a 16 SEER.
16 SEER.
16 SEER. And the fact that it being the highest even sent and shipped to this country. It's the fact that you'll see in most of the wholesalers I use, okay, they, for Keep Right, for instance, okay, they're sending us the 13s and the 16s. It's either take the least, okay, or you take the most. There's no point in the 14 and the 15 because of the simple fact that there's not a hell of a lot of difference. Right. Okay, all you're changing in the 14 really is the speed on that fan. Gotcha. Okay, it's not really doing a heck of a lot of difference. It's like, if you want more, just take it all and get it over with.
If you're in the Edmonton area and you are looking for an air conditioning system or a furnace, definitely call the man here, Amin, at Hot to Cold Mechanical Services in Edmonton, and he'll be happy to give you a fair quote and kind of go over your system and make sure that you've got the right system that's sized for you. He's going to recommend Keep Right and or Comfort Maker or the Carrier, because they're preferred systems that he uses because they have a great warranty with them. And so yeah, thank you so much for joining us on the video, and we will see you guys on the next one.